We have Mr. Nate McMurray. Where's Nate? Oh my God! Look at that smile. Is that actually live or what? There it is.
That's me. How you doing?
For a minute. All right. Mr. McMurray is the former Grand Island supervisor.
Yes, sir.
And running for Congress on the 27th Congressional District.
Yes, I am.
As always with Meet the Candidates Day, you get about 3 minutes or so to give any campaign planks you'd like, and then we have some questions for you.
Well, I heard the other candidates talk, and I had the advantage to hear them talk. And, I'll be honest, just because time is short, I'm going to cut to the chase.
Okay.
They're not telling you the truth. These are people that voted against Medicare. I mean, Jacobs voted to stop, or he was one of the instrumental in stopping healthcare plans for New York State. He supports the president's budget that cuts Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security. And it's just, and even Senator Gallivan, I hate to be so blunt about it, but these guys are not doing anything to help the issues you guys care about. They're literally presenting a different worldview, and a worldview that's different than mine. My worldview is that I believe in the common good. I believe that government can do things to help our families and solve problems. In fact, without government, we don't really have community. Community is what government is. It's a way of binding us together and protecting those who are often in positions where they need the help of the community to support them. Even ever since John Winthrop first came to the United States, before there was an America, the first immigrants to come here, John Winthrop, coming to Massachusetts, said on the boat, we need to bear each other's burdens. We need to protect each other. We need to work with one another. The Constitution, our founding documents, say to form a more perfect union. And these politicians are presenting a different view. Their view is the private sector can solve all of our problems, and the public sector is bad, government is bad. I don't agree with that. I believe we've cut government to the point where it cannot provide the services required. And then when it's asked to do something, from policing to healthcare or anything else, it's unable to do so. And then everyone says, oh, government is bad. Well, the truth is we have the worst, most inefficient, most expensive healthcare system in the world that still doesn't cover everybody. We give away tax cuts to the richest Americans without thinking about it while they continue to concentrate wealth, and we do nothing for everybody else. If we taxed the top 400 people, just 5% of their wealth, just 5% of their wealth, the Jeff Bezos of the world, we could end poverty in America and provide every single American health care. So I'm not for some radical system. I'm not for communism. I'm for common sense. And I was getting angst-driven sitting here because I think that we can do so much better than we're doing. And when I hear politicians wring their hands about what's not happening, I'm like, you guys are responsible. And I'm willing to go to Washington and make changes for regular people, working people like me. I was born one of 7 in Niagara County. My father passed away when I was 4. We survived because of Social Security survivor benefits. I'm a working class person, a product of the working class, and I will fight for the working class. And I'll fight for the issues the people on this call today care about. And with that, I'm happy to take your questions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. We're going to start with a question coming from the feed. Can you give me what your opinion is about the movement to, quote unquote, defund the police?
I don't support defunding the police.
Okay.
However, President Trump is defunding the police right now by there is no stimulus plan. He can make excuses about it, but the House has to negotiate with the Senate and the president, and they've been impossible to negotiate with. As a result, you're seeing horrific situations where not only the police are being defunded, but so is the highway department and the rec parks and rec department and just every other part of our government because there is no support. Regarding the police, I believe there needs to be changes to the way we police in this country. I think we need to demilitarize the police, not defund the police, demilitarize the police. I'm the only candidate for NY27 that has experience working with the police directly. I was the commissioner of police in my small town. And I understand how difficult their job is. We have to fund the police so they can do their job. At the same time, we need to demilitarize the police. I think across the country, it's considered, it's as if in some communities they're an occupying force rather than part of the community. And I think by just doing that alone, it could go a long way to making the police more part of our communities and more the way it's supposed to be, as part of building the common good.
Okay. The next question is a disability-related question, because I know you're a firm supporter of the Affordable Care Act, but you're talking now to people with disabilities, the single center of, for example, pre-existing conditions. We know it's the most expensive healthcare system, and it still doesn't serve anybody. But as congressman, what would you do to improve services for people with disabilities to keep them out of nursing homes and institutions?
Well, I have members of my own family who suffer from disabilities, severe disabilities, and I understand how important it is for people to be with their families. And this is a personal issue for me. So I will be open to all legislation to help the disabled community be more part of our lives and be with us and the people they love. Beyond that, I want to talk about pre-existing conditions. And I'm going to say this as clearly as possible. Congressman Jacobs voted to fund the lawsuit that President Trump is bringing to remove protections on pre-existing conditions. Now, he seems like a nice guy, but that's what he voted to do. He did it. He voted against COVID sick pay, and he fought healthcare on the state level, and now he's doing it on the federal level. He doesn't understand what most people are going through and how important it is to have those protections. And he says, oh, I'm for pre-existing conditions, but his votes belie that fact. He's against pre-existing conditions, according to his voting record. And he supports President Trump, who doesn't have any alternative to the Affordable Care Act. He's been promising it for 5 years. We still have nothing. So I think it's a matter of priorities. My priorities is the health and well-being of the people I represent, not some type of ideology about big government versus the private sector. No, just throw that all out of there. That's political talk. How can I help people here? And I can help people here by making sure they can get coverage and health care, and by making sure they can be with their families. And I promise you, and you can probably hear the sincerity in my voice, if I'm in office, I will always vote to protect pre-existing conditions and to make sure that you have the health care you need so you can be with the ones you love.
All righty. Mark, you want to do your cleanup question?
Sure. So on the employment arena, what would you do as far as helping to create positions and or more positions for the individuals with disabilities should you be elected?
Well, I have had members of my campaign team that have disabilities, and some of my strongest and the most rewarding working relationships were with people with disabilities. So I'll do everything I can, and the biggest thing I'll do is I will listen to the people on this call, and when there's legislation that comes before me that you want to pass, and that you think your input would help me understand, my door will be open for you, and I'll be there to listen to you and talk to you, because you know these issues better than I ever will, and you'll help educate me so I can be a better voter. What I need you all to do, and I pray that you do, is to help me get in office. This is a tough race for a Democrat, because this area has been taught that Democrats are bad and Republicans are good. That's why you got Chris Jacobs, or that's why you got Chris Collins in jail. People vote party line. And we need every single vote we can get. And I promise you that if you get me into office, I will be your friend and ally, and I will listen so that when there's opportunities to work together on new legislation to help the disabled community, that I'll be there for you.
I think that that's wonderful, and that's the way you're going to end our time together, Nate. Thanks so much for spending time with us today. As always, with all of the live candidates, I do have other questions in the feed I don't have time for. I will send those so that you and the campaign can answer them. You'll get them over the next day or two.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.